You've got it tuned to the Midday Show on listener-powered KEXP at 90.3 FM in Seattle, online at KEXP.org. We've got our good friends, the Hold Steady, live in studio. So happy to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for coming in, and grab a cold can of beer, fire up that lawnmower. It's the Hold Steady live on KEXP.
Heartbreak hurts, but you can dance it off. Sure, some nights she'll curse these clubs. She's 2 years off some prairie town. She goes out most every night. She dresses up and she spins around. Same guy buys another round. So let her know he's interested. The nights go on forever now, but the morning comes up quick. You gotta loosen your grip. Never let them tie you up. It's a big city, there's a lot of love. Salted rims and frosted mugs. You gotta get back out there. Light champagne and inbound trains. Soft hands and phantom pains. Never let them tie you up. It's a big city, there's a lot of love. She's pretty sure it's safe. She goes to a different place. Decides she's gonna get some guy before she even finds him. Then she's got him, yes she wants him, but she can't decide if she wants him. She goes out most every night. She cuddles up and she spins aside. He comes in much closer and to signal he's still interested. Some nights are so complicated. Soft hands are so frustrating. She never gets in their cars. Never let them tie you up. It's a big city, there's a lot of love. Salted rims and frosted mugs. Gotta get back out there. Light champagne and inbound trains. Soft hands and phantom pains. Never let them tie you up. It's a big city, there's a lot of love. She's 2 years off some prairie town. She dresses up and she spins around. Little looks and smothered talk. Heartbreak hurts, but you can dance it off. She's 2 years off some prairie town. She dresses up and she spins around. Never lets them tie her down. It's a big city, there's just so much love. Once you're out there, everything's possible. Might be a fight, there might be a miracle. Loosen your grip, man, it feels so incredible. Let the city live your life for you tonight. Never let them tie you up. It's a big city, there's a lot of love. Salted rims and frosted mugs. It's a big city. All right.
Sweet.
That was Spinners, and I think now let's do the ambassador. living in. 3-2 bars, a stretch to call a club. It was called the Ambassador. She was pretty much crashing there. Space between the skin and all the blood. Nights were hot and hissing like an iron. Days spent climbing walls like a vine. A Bay City tire shop was just a temporary stop. A touchdown on a trip that was mostly undefined. You were still staying there. All the halls smelled like burning hair. In the end it made you sick, but at first you didn't mind. Nights were hot and hissing like an iron. Days were cold and crush you like a can. Years spent faking pain and making plans. Pretty sure you recognize these guys that were asking out for you just the other night. Blood on the bed and the lights in their eyes. If you came around the back, we could take them by surprise. Well, your friend from the tire shop, he keeps talking about some rocks, like he wants something hard to hit his head on. He said he's a mystic. Well, I know he's not Catholic. He's got a cross all upside down carved in his arm. Nights were hot and hissing like an iron. Days were cold and crush you like a can. Years spent faking pain and making plans. Pretty sure you recognize these guys. They were asking around for you just the other night. Blood on the bed and the lights in their eyes. Came back to us, South Minneapolis. Said revenge exists outside of space and time. Back behind the Ambassador, and that it feels kinda magical. Guess your friend can really both things with his mind. Called the Ambassador. There wasn't much diplomatic there. Space between the skin and all the blood.
It's the Hold Steady live in the KEXP studios. That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having us.
It's kind of like the back porch sessions.
Yeah. We've kind of been doing this for the radio stuff. This acoustic with the, sort of stripped down. It's nice. Kind of takes a different look at the songs.
It's beautiful. It's a nice counterpoint to your high-octane live shows.
Yeah. It's easier to do in the middle of the day, too, than a high-octane.
You have such a beautiful voice, and I've thought of it over the years as gritty, but I would actually call it beautiful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Not everyone thinks it's beautiful, but...
Those are songs from your awesome new album, Teeth Dreams, and this marks 10 years as a band for you, and I know you played some anniversary shows earlier in the year, and I'm wondering what it feels like to be celebrating 10 years with such a dedicated fan base and such a strong collection of albums under your belt.
Well, it's exciting. I mean, you look back on your own personal record collection, and you see a lot of bands that didn't make it to 6 records or 10 years that are some of my favorite, I think all of our favorite bands. So it's quite an accomplishment, and it's and the community that's kind of around the band has become such an important thing. It has been always, and I think it's been really cool this year to we've kind of made an effort to really kind of formalize that, and it's been exciting to see all the people. The 10-year anniversary concerts had people from all over the world actually. So it was a great celebration.
A lot of people have been saying, when I'm reading articles and reviews of the record, they make a big deal about it being 4 years since your last album, but you kind of went at breakneck speed for the first few albums. I think it was like 5 albums in 6 years. I'm wondering how it felt to kind of just step back and take a breath for a minute. Do you feel sort of refreshed and invigorated when you went into writing this new record?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we were working at a breakneck pace because we did 5 albums in 7 years, but we toured each of them pretty hard. And I think we were ready for a break, and we got one, and then we kind of came back to it, and it felt like the rest did us good.
This is kind of a funny little side note, but when you talk about all the touring that you've done and you look at a list of dates that the Hold Steady plays, and it's like pages long, I recently read in an interview something that kind of made me chuckle, that you have played in all 50 states. And you don't really think about that when you see these long lists, that maybe there are some states that get overlooked. I don't imagine bands make it to Alaska and Hawaii that often.
We got Alaska and Hawaii before we got 3 others. The last 3 were Delaware, South Dakota, and Wyoming. And we started to make a concerted effort to get those off our list. And the last one was Wyoming last summer. So now we're at 50.
That's cool. I'm sure that those fans in Wyoming were psyched to have you coming out there. I heard that you went to Nashville to record Teeth Dreams. Is that the first time that you went outside of New York?
Outside of the metro area, yes.
And what was that experience like? What made you decide to kind of do something different?
We did the record with Nick Raskulinich, and he used to be, he kind of cut his teeth at Sound City in LA for the people that have seen the documentary, and then moved back to Tennessee where he grew up and has his studio there. So when we kind of made the decision to work with him, we went to where, his kind of home base was. And Steve lives in Memphis, and I think it was a deliberate decision for us to kind of get outside of New York to make the record, and we all kind of rented a house and holed up there, and it was great to just focus on making the record.
I imagine that was a different experience than just going home every night.
Yeah, I think the older you get, the more kind of the other things in your life kind of tug at you when you're home, so it's nice to get out of town.
Craig, I know you had a solo record in the intervening years, and Tad, I read somewhere that you started writing songs kind of early on this.
Well, yeah, we, the 4 of us, Bobby Galen and Steve and myself, kind of got together. We got together as a band a few times in New York, and it was really kind of formal because getting Steve into town and stuff like that, it was just like, okay, now go 1, 2, 3, yeah, be creative. So, and then when Craig was out on tour, I thought it would be a good idea for us to just kind of work, continue to work and kind of keep that. I always compare being creative, like you kind of have to stay in shape for that. It's not like you wouldn't just throw on a pair of tennis shoes and run out and run a marathon. You kind of have to work up to it, and I feel like, making music is sort of the same thing. So you kind of always have to be in shape to do that.
Tad, I love the guitar interplay with you and Steve, and this is definitely a very guitar-heavy album. I know Steve's been in the band for a while now, but is this the first time that he's been on one of the studio albums?
Yeah, this is the first record that we wrote and recorded with Steve.
These guys came down to Memphis, where I live, 2 sessions in 2 months, like February and March, and I have a studio in my back house. We all the 4 of us holed up and wrote kind of a majority, or a lot of stuff that wound up on the record. And
to put it in perspective, also, I absolutely remember when you guys were in Memphis, I talked to Tad on the phone in this parking lot.
Oh, nice.
The last time we were here. So that's
brings it all around.
Yeah.
I love it. You can contribute the success of the album to KEXP. We were a catalyst. A lot of people are saying that this is your heaviest album to date. Would you agree with that assessment?
I would.
Yeah, I think it's really, the songs seem more dense, and I think, some of that is Steve and I, but I also think it's, and Craig has said this before too, there's kind of a tension on the record, or there's I don't want to say a darkness, but I think it's a different kind of emotion than we may have gotten at before on an album.
Well, Teeth Dreams is a very ominous title.
Certainly edgier.
Yeah, there's a lot of the lyrics. Maybe less hopeful, but I was super obsessed with anxiety, and just sort of the way it plays out in our culture. I know New York Times has an anxiety column now, and all this. There's all this. I was wondering if we live in particularly anxious times, or if we're just so self-aware that we kind of coddle and nurture our own anxiety and take care of it. And that's where my head was at, and that's kind of like when I heard all this music, which seemed tense and edgy, it seemed like that was a good place to explore.
When you describe that kind of fits my perception of New York City, and although you've been living in New York for a super long time, I feel like your music is sort of roots in the Midwest, which is where you're from.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think it's hard. People always ask me why I make such a big deal about being from Minneapolis when I've lived in New York for 14 years. Whenever I tell someone I'm from Brooklyn, they go, "You don't sound like it." So I've always tried to just, I'm from Minneapolis originally, I live in Brooklyn, so then I don't have that. Then it sounds like you're lying or something. But, where you came up is a huge part of you, and that's certainly affects the music.
Well, I never met anyone from the Midwest that I didn't like. The Hold Steady live in the KEXP studios, the fabulous new album, Teeth Dreams, and we'd love more music if you got it in you.
Yeah, we're going to do You Can Make 'Em Like You from our Boys and Girls in America record.
Let your boyfriend deal with the dealers. It only gets inconvenience when you want to get high alone. You don't have to know how to get home. Let your boyfriend tell the driver the best way to go. It only gets kind of weird when you want to go home alone. You don't have to know the inspiring people. Let your boyfriend know the inspiring people. You can hang in the kitchen. You can talk about the stars from the upcoming sequel. If you get tired of your boyfriend's things, there's always other boys, there's always other boyfriends. If you get tired of your boyfriend's scene, there's always other scenes, there's always other boyfriends. Yeah, you don't have to deal with the dealers. Let your boyfriend deal with the dealers. It only gets inconvenience when you want to get high alone. You don't have to go to the right kind of schools. Let your boyfriend come from the right kind of schools. You can wear his old sweatshirt. You can cover yourself like a bruise. And if you get tired of your boyfriend's things, there's always other boys, there's always other boyfriends. If you get tired of his baseball friends, there's always other boys, there's always other boyfriends. If you get tired of the car he drives, there's always other boys, and you can make him like you. If you get tired of the music he likes, there's always other boys, and you can make him like you. Say you don't have a problem until you start to do it alone. Say you don't have a problem until you start bringing it home. She said you don't have a problem until you start sleeping alone. There's always other boys, there's always other boyfriends. There's always other boys and you can make them like you. There's always other boys, there's always other boyfriends. There's always other boys and you can make them like you. There's always other boys, there's always other boyfriends. There's always other boys and you can make them like you. There's always other boys, there's always other boyfriends. There's always other boys and you can make him like you.
All right. We got one more we're going to do, and it's from the new record also, and it's called Almost Everything, and it's a song about being on the road, which I say is a dangerous thing to write songs about, but you can write one or two, and we have one. It's called Almost Everything.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Something might happen, but nothing will be never ending. Right from the start, I told you I can't spend the night. Get all the feelings, remember the sessions, how we made a connection with the lamps from my dreams looking up at your hands pointing up at the lights. Yeah, there are nights I get terrified. I'm sure you get terrified too. So hey, won't you show me a sign if I'm getting through to you? I'm still pretty into you. Bus that rolled up into Franklin at dawn, and everything seems super slow-mo. Waffle House waitress that asked us if we were Pink Floyd. Sat in the back of the theater, just drinking and talking about movies and Krishna and hardcore and Jesus and joy. Yeah, there are nights that get terrified. Sure you get terrified too. So, hey, won't you show me a sign if I'm getting through to you? The lights come up, I can't see so much. I can hear you breathe, I can feel almost everything. Checked in the Methodist, I met with some residents, maxed out my medicine, let me back loose again. I went to some movie, it was loud, dumb, and bloody. The third act took place in a wormhole. The hero ascended to heaven, and we headed home. Locked at the exits by medics with stretchers. Finally they said just forget it. That kid that went down isn't dead, he just can't find his phone. Yeah, there are nights I get terrified. Get terrified too. So, hey, won't you show me a sign if I'm getting through to you? I can hear you breathe, I can feel almost everything. Almost everything.
So nice.
Thank you.
The Hold Steady live on KEXP, or should I say Pink Floyd.
I think you know the difference.
I love the stories and the songs. Playing tonight at the Neptune Theater. Again, always a pleasure to have you in studio. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having us.
You've got it tuned to KEXP Seattle. Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.